This is the third law of the Salon. This is going to be about Mrs. Dorothy Parker and Francis Scott Fitzgerald. The Garden of Allah is the connective tissue. The Garden of Allah started it all. Alla Nazimova, silent screen starlet, built a private residence, and so you had this bungalow court for drunken, drugged out, incredibly creative people, writing motion pictures, directing motion pictures, starring in them.
F. Scott Fitzgerald came to Hollywood briefly in the 20s, but in 1937 he came west. Fitzgerald's relationship with Los Angeles was a little bit tormented and star-crossed. When he first came in the 20s, he was the belle of the ball. He was a best-selling young, good-looking novelist with a beautiful wife. When he came back in 37, his wife was in a mental institution, and he was very much in debt.
She hated the place, but the money was too good. It's always complicated when it deals with Dorothy Parker. But she made a very good living out here, and she really came to political consciousness here in Los Angeles. Fitzgerald and Dorothy Parker and Alan Campbell spent a lot of times together. They went to many cocktail parties, and as I said, they had a lot of dinner parties together.
My name is Michael Dawson. I'm a third-generation bookseller in Los Angeles. My grandfather, Ernest Dawson, founded Dawson's Bookshop in 1905. How am I continuing a tradition that my grandfather started in 1905? I'm still really involved in things, fine books, and books that reflect our history. And he was also very interested in bringing fine books to Los Angeles, so I think that I'm maintaining a certain tradition there by keeping up the printed word and also the artistry of the printed page.
Everyone who worked in Hollywood had the same question. How is it you can possibly work in the motion picture industry, some of them fortunately making several $1,000s a month, which in the 30s was unheard of, and yet keeping this morsel of artistic integrity that allows you the energy, the wherewithal, the strength, and the desire to come home at night and work on your novel. There was no solution for Parker, for Fitzgerald, for Chandler, there was no solution. And yet each writer has this great path that they go down where they try and solve that problem. They try and find the holy grail that will let them do both.
Fitzgerald so caught the tenor of his times. He was the writer in the 1920s during a very exciting, fraught time. This was a place he spent plenty of time in, and the kind of place that I think is a fitting one to host a tribute to.
The Salon starts with a very simple, small, concise idea. Moose on Frank Grill opened up a writer's room in 1934. And about that time, Stanley Rose opened his bookshop in one of the last two retail spaces of this building. Stanley Rose is the warp and weft that all these people play out on, between the bookshop next door, the secret passage, and the writer's room. That's what this Salon is about, this connection. So this writer's room, this exclusive playground for all the writers in Hollywood that make up the canon of American letters. The bar, the tables, the chairs they sat in the broom closet, are just in the new room. Of course, Dorothy Parker and Francis Scott Fitzgerald have drink at the bar here. I mean, that's the point of this Salon, is we can point to the bar in the new room and say, yes, that is the bar where they drank. We don't have to go any further.
Nights like tonight are important because they bring together people who actively love Los Angeles. To come here and celebrate these literary lives, it feels right.
It's always important when you can link the memory of people, of past events, with something that you can still sit in, put your hands on, experience in the present.
We still have a landmark, and the phantom of the literary people are still embedded in these establishments. Musso and Frank is pretty much the last remaining institution with ties to that kind of historical period, the 20s and the 30s, and the literary core.
Well, I think it's important to remember history and to reflect on what's past and how things are remembered and how it carries us forward, because if we don't really remember our history, we don't really have a good sense of where we might want to go.